In the morning, many of us start the day with the same familiar movements. We reach for our glasses on the nightstand, wipe them lightly, then rub around our eyes before blinking a few times. Those small habits feel so automatic that we hardly notice them until they begin happening more often. What I have noticed over time is that these habits are not just about the eyes waking up. At my age, and for many people watching right now, morning eye changes often reflect how recovery happened overnight. I see this often in my work, and the truth is, I notice it in myself as well. There are mornings when I need a few seconds before my eyes adjust to the room light. Some days everything feels sharp right away, and some days it does not. That is normal, and there is a clear explanation for it. When we sleep, the eyes are not truly resting. The retina continues processing leftover signals, repairing cells worn down during the day, and balancing the tear film. Eye pressure also shifts quietly during this time, all of it happening without us being aware of it. If the eyes lack certain nutrients or enough protection during that process, discomfort in the morning becomes more likely. Heaviness, dryness, mild burning, or the need to blink a few extra times are common signs when recovery was not fully supported. My name is Robert Ellison, and I am 60 years old. After many years working in healthcare, I have seen the same eye patterns appear again and again. They are rarely serious, but they can make the start of the day less comfortable than it needs to be. I have come to believe there are simple ways to help the eyes recover more smoothly during the night, and part of that support comes from what we choose to eat before going to sleep. Here, I want to explore with you 6 familiar foods that are easy to prepare and gentle to use. These foods may help the eyes feel lighter and more flexible the next morning. But first, understanding how the eyes recover during sleep helps explain why these foods can make a difference. When it comes to the way the eyes recover, the most important thing to recognize is that nighttime is not a quiet period. In fact, this is when the eyes enter their hardest working phase. Each time we close our eyes, millions of cells in the retina begin organizing, repairing, and restoring small damage built up during the day. One noticeable change over time is that blood flow to the tiny vessels feeding the retina is no longer as strong as it once was. When the flow of nutrients slows down, the recovery process slows with it. At the same time, the retina continues processing leftover light from a full day of screens and bright environments. Each of those signals adds a small amount of oxidative stress. As the cell membranes and tear glands thin over time, the eyes can become more light sensitive, drier, and slower to focus in the morning. I have had mornings where simply turning on a light required a brief pause for my eyes to adjust. It is a feeling I believe many people watching have experienced as well. All of this leads to one important point. The eyes need support at night, right when recovery activity is at its highest. When the right nutrients are available during this window, the eyes often respond in noticeable ways after a relatively short time. And to begin, I want to talk about a fruit many people already have in their refrigerator: blueberries. They are simple and familiar, yet they support the retina more than most people realize. This makes them a very natural starting point for an evening routine focused on eye care. What caught my attention about this fruit is not its taste or convenience, but how the body uses its deep blue pigments to support tiny blood flow in the eyes. The retina depends heavily on those small blood vessels to deliver oxygen and nutrients to each layer of cells. Blueberries are especially rich in anthocyanins, compounds that help those small vessels stay flexible and responsive over time. There was a period when I always kept a small container of blueberries in my refrigerator for the evening, not for any big reason, but simply because it felt like a gentle way of taking care of myself. And the truth is, that feeling matters more than people often realize. We do not always need major changes. Sometimes something familiar, easy to eat, and simple to keep going is enough. Blueberries also have a low glycemic impact, so they do not feel heavy or interfere with sleep. Many people I have worked with find that adding a small amount to yogurt or oatmeal in the evening is enough. They often notice that in the morning, the eyes feel less gritty and adjust to light more quickly. Another point that is not mentioned as often is how blueberries help the eyes handle blue light later in the day. If you tend to watch the news or check email before bed, this becomes even more relevant. Using them is very straightforward. About 1/4 to 1/2 cup in the evening is enough for the retina to get what it needs without digestive discomfort. And once that foundation is in place, the next thing I start thinking about is how to protect the eyes throughout the night. And one option that fits this need especially well is pistachio. The first thing that caught my attention about this nut is the amount of natural vitamin E it provides. Vitamin E works quietly inside the cell membranes of rods and cones, the cells responsible for receiving light. When the body has enough vitamin E, these cells tend to be more resilient. They are also less affected by oxidative stress that builds up during sleep, especially after a long visual day. I still remember a period when, late in the day, light from a car dashboard or hallway lamps made me squint longer than usual. It was not anything serious, but it was enough to notice that my eyes lacked a bit of protective cushioning. When pistachio became a small part of my evening routine, that sensation gradually eased. I have seen the same pattern in many people I have worked with. In the morning, their eyes feel less light sensitive and less scratchy when first opening. Beyond vitamin E, pistachio also provides lutein and zeaxanthin. These are pigments the retina uses as a natural filter against blue light. If you have ever driven at night and felt headlights seemed harsher than usual, these nutrients matter. Another detail many people overlook is that pistachio contains more natural melatonin than many other nuts. This helps the body ease into deeper sleep, and quality sleep is essential for the eyes to recover fully. Using pistachio is very simple. 5 to 7 unsalted pistachios, eaten about half an hour before sleep, are usually enough. This allows the body to use the benefits without feeling heavy or uncomfortable. And once the eyes have that added protection through the night, something else becomes much more important. That is how well the body absorbs and uses the nutrients it is given. At this point, what begins to make a clearer difference is not how many nutrients you add, but how well the body absorbs them. And this is exactly where avocado comes into the picture. Avocado provides healthy fats, the kind the eyes rely on to absorb vitamins that support the retina effectively. What makes avocado especially notable is its natural lutein content. Lutein is a pigment the body does not produce on its own, yet the retina uses it daily to maintain clarity. It also helps reduce that tired feeling when the eyes face strong or prolonged light. There are evenings, especially after long reading or working under bright light, when I notice my eyes work a little harder. It is not something alarming, but it does signal that the eyes could use the right kind of support. Avocado is one of the simplest ways to provide that. The healthy fats in avocado help the body better absorb fat-soluble vitamins like vitamin A and vitamin E. These nutrients are closely tied to retinal cell membranes and the steady function of the tear glands. When the tear glands work smoothly, the eyes hold natural moisture longer through the night. Another reason avocado fits well in the evening is how light it feels. 2 or 3 thin slices, or a few spoonfuls of mashed avocado with a light food are often enough. This supports nighttime recovery without causing fullness or discomfort. Some evenings I simply spread a thin layer on whole grain bread. It is very simple, yet the next morning my eyes often feel noticeably more comfortable. Small changes like this are often the easiest to notice. And for the eyes to recover more completely during sleep, the next thing they need is support for circulation. That is exactly why prune becomes useful at this point. Prunes support the eyes right at the point where circulation naturally begins to slow over time. As the tiny capillaries that feed the retina lose flexibility, nutrients have a harder time reaching areas needing repair. Prunes contain vitamin K1, which helps those small vessels stay supple and keeps blood flow steadier through the night. When circulation stays open, the eyes have better conditions to recover after a long day of constant use. Prunes are also a natural source of potassium, which fits well into an evening routine. During sleep, pressure inside the eye can shift slightly, and potassium helps balance fluid levels within the eye. Many people find that keeping prunes in their evening habits leads to lighter eyelids and clearer vision in the morning. I have noticed this myself as well. Not a dramatic change, but one that is easy to feel. Another advantage is that prunes have a low glycemic index. This helps limit blood sugar swings that can cause temporary morning blur. Just 1 or 2 prunes, eaten about 45 minutes before sleep, are enough for nighttime recovery needs. And once blood flow stays more stable through the night, the retina needs materials to rebuild itself. That is where salmon becomes especially worth talking about. It is one of the natural sources of omega-3 fats the retina relies on every day. What many people notice most after adding salmon is not theory, but a very specific feeling. The eyes feel more comfortable when they first open in the morning. Salmon provides DHA and EPA, two forms of omega-3 that help calm surface inflammation in the eyes. This inflammation is often why some people wake with mild burning, corner irritation, or brief morning blur. When omega-3 is added regularly, the surface of the eye stays naturally smoother. The tear glands also tend to work more steadily through the night. This matters even more if your days involve a lot of reading, long drives, or bright lighting. I remember evenings when I added a few spoonfuls of canned salmon to a salad. The next morning, my eyes felt noticeably calmer, a small change, but a very real one. Another benefit of salmon is how convenient it is. Canned salmon keeps its omega-3 value and takes very little preparation. 2 or 3 spoonfuls with a whole grain cracker or mixed into an evening salad are usually enough. It feels light, does not upset digestion, which is important for a later meal. And once the eyes are less inflamed, better nourished, and well hydrated overnight, the next step matters. That step is keeping this balance steady into the morning. This is where chia seeds become especially worth noticing. They help hold moisture and support healthy cell membranes through the night. With chia seeds, the difference often shows up fairly early. The eyes tend to wake feeling softer and less irritated, thanks to 2 things this small seed does especially well. One is long-lasting moisture retention. The other is supporting cell membrane repair while you sleep. What makes chia seeds unique is the gel they form when soaked in water. That gel holds a small but steady amount of moisture. The body uses that moisture overnight to support cell membranes, including those in the retina. When cell membranes stay flexible, the eyes usually wake feeling calmer and less dry. This can matter even on mornings when the air feels dry or when a heater has been running overnight. I had a period when I used chia seeds regularly in the evening. The next morning, my eyelids truly felt lighter. It was a small change, but easy to notice if you paid attention. Chia seeds also provide omega-3 in the ALA form. This is the form the body uses as raw material to rebuild cell membranes. ALA is not as strong as DHA from salmon, but taken before sleep, it helps create a steady foundation for overnight repair. Chia seeds also help keep blood sugar more stable through the night. This can reduce brief morning blur, something many people experience without realizing the cause. Another helpful detail is the natural tryptophan found in chia seeds. This supports melatonin production, which helps improve sleep quality. When sleep improves, eye recovery tends to improve as well. Those two often move together in a positive cycle. Using chia seeds is very simple. 1 small spoon soaked for 20 to 30 minutes, sprinkled on yogurt, is usually enough overnight. And when all six of these foods work together as a foundation, supporting circulation, calming inflammation, holding moisture, and repairing cell structure, the next step is bringing them into a simple evening routine that feels easy to keep each day. And the reason this combination works is that each food supports a different part of eye health. Placed together, they do not work separately. They complement one another during the exact window when the eyes need recovery most. Some elements help clear the path. Prunes support circulation, so nutrients can actually reach the retina where repair is happening. Others play a protective role. Pistachios help the eyes handle oxidative stress while cells are actively repairing overnight. Then there are the building blocks. Avocado and salmon provide healthy fats and omega-3 that retinal structure relies on every day. And finally, chia seeds help maintain moisture, support steady blood sugar, and assist cell renewal through the night. What matters is that these processes do not happen separately. They occur at the same time, during the deepest stages of sleep. When these foods are used in the evening, nutrients enter the body right as natural eye recovery begins. This is when pressure settles, blood flow shifts, and cells start repairing daily wear. I usually explain it this way to make it clearer. One nutrient on its own is like a good tool. But when several tools are used correctly and at the right time, they form a complete process. That is why many people notice more than a small change. They describe mornings that feel easier overall, less dryness, less tension, and no need for the eyes to slowly catch up. And at this point, the practical question naturally comes up. How do you bring these foods into the evening in a way that feels simple and easy to keep every day? And the practical answer is this. You do not need to turn your evenings into a complicated ritual to care for your eyes. In fact, the clearest changes usually come from habits that are very gentle, simple enough that you do not have to think much, comfortable enough that you want to repeat them each night. The easiest way to begin is not trying to include all six foods at once. That is not necessary, and it is not very realistic. Instead, choose 3 or 4 of the six and rotate them across different evenings. Each one supports the eyes in a different way. Over time, that variety matters more than having everything in a single night. Some evenings, a very light option is enough. Blueberries with yogurt and a small amount of chia seeds can work well. It is easy to digest, not heavy, and fits nights when you want something simple before sleep. On other evenings, a small snack of pistachios and prunes may feel more appropriate. This can be especially helpful if you do not feel like eating a full dinner. And on nights when you want a bit more substance, a small piece of toast with avocado and a few spoonfuls of salmon can provide enough support without discomfort. What matters most is not a fixed formula. It is flexibility. There is no need to measure every gram. The body does not work in a mechanical way. As long as portions feel reasonable and you finish feeling light and comfortable, you are moving in the right direction. As for timing, about 45 to 60 minutes before sleep tends to work well. This allows the body to begin processing nutrients before the eyes enter deeper recovery. One small detail is worth paying attention to. Try to avoid eating while looking at a bright screen. Strong light and distraction make it harder for the eyes to shift into a resting state. That can happen even when the food itself is appropriate. If possible, take a few minutes after the light meal to lower the room lighting. You might sit quietly or have a cup of chamomile or peppermint tea. There is no need to do anything elaborate. Just give the eyes and the brain a clear signal that the day is slowing down. To be honest, sometimes sitting quietly for a few minutes is enough. The body does not always need more. At times, it simply needs less stimulation. What I see repeated again and again is this. The most noticeable changes usually come from small habits, as long as they are kept consistently. And when this evening rhythm begins to settle in, the first thing many people notice is quite simple. It is the way their eyes feel when they first open in the morning. What I see very clearly, again and again, is this: caring for the eyes is not a heavy task or something that requires changing many things at once. Most often, it begins with very small choices, especially in the evening, when the body and the eyes are already ready to slow down. It might be a light snack instead of skipping dinner altogether. It might be dimming the lights a few minutes earlier than usual, or it might simply mean keeping that evening a little quieter. Small things like these, when repeated consistently, tend to create the clearest difference the next morning. I have met many people who were surprised to notice something important. That comfortable feeling when the eyes first open does not come from anything special or dramatic. It comes from treating the eyes more gently the night before. It sounds simple, but the feeling is very real, and often that feeling alone is enough to make people want to keep going. If you begin trying some of these ideas, I am genuinely curious about one thing. Does your morning feel any different at all? If you feel like sharing, you can leave a short note below. Sometimes reading another person's experience helps someone realize they are not alone in noticing these changes. And if this video sparked a thought or a small shift for you, there may be someone you know who needs to hear it too. And if you would like to continue conversations like this, calm and practical, I will be here in the videos ahead.